morning, everyone. We are on the webinar 4 of our Easy Weasy mentorship program. And today we're going to talk about the internal communication. How do you communicate with your teams inside your projects, organizations, whatever setting you have? Maybe it's external people, remotely you work or in the office. We all need to communicate. So we have today Ariana Romero from Clictic, from Vigo, Spain, and we'll call it Eva Lorca from evalorca.com. So please, the floor is yours. We are eager to know what you have prepared for us.
Hi, everyone, and welcome again to this webinar about make your team your best ambassadors, internal communication. I'm gonna share my screen. So I'm really happy to be here again with you today. My name is Eva Llorca, and this is the fourth webinar in this series, ECBC series. Today we are going to talk about a topic that affects every part of our work, internal communication. You might be working in a small local NGO or a large international organization. You might be a volunteer, a team leader, or just starting out. No matter your role, communication is key to making things work smoothly and to making people feel part of something meaningful. Okay, so first of all, what are we going to explore to talk about today? We will start with a quick look at what internal communication actually is and why it matters more than we think. Then we will see what happens when communication fails. And I will show you two funny but powerful examples for TV series. After that, we will go into the heart of today's webinar, the 5 pillars of great internal communication. These are practical, simple principles that can really change how your team works. And finally, I will guide you through a couple of activities to help you apply what we have talked about. And we will end with a few discussion questions to share experience and ideas. So let's begin. So let's start from the beginning. What is internal communication? Okay. In simple terms, it is the way people inside your organization share ideas, information, updates, goals, and feedback. It includes things like emails, team meetings, WhatsApp groups, or Slack channels, internal newsletters, informal chats, sticky notes on desk, okay? Even body language. It is not just about tools, but also tools. It is about how we stay connected, okay? How we understand and what is going on, how we make sure no one is left out of the loop. So in NGOs especially, where we often deal with limited resources, remote teams, and multicultural environments, a strong internal communication is not just nice to have, it is essential. What happens when communication fails? Let's look at what happens when internal communication fails, and let's do it with some humor, okay? look this, watch this is from the famous steam, from the famous TV series, The Office, okay? So this is a crazy situation. One of the characters, Vite, set up a fake fire drill, but doesn't tell anyone it's fake. The result, total chaos. People scream, break windows, do cuts, and run around panic. Okay. Why? Because there was no warning, no instructions, and no visible leadership. It is funny, but it also reminds us of something important. When there is no clear communication, even a small situation can become a disaster. Okay. So the lesson here is that in critical moments, communication needs to be clear, timely, and centralized. Otherwise, people panic, waste energy, or make dangerous decisions. Okay. Let's see another example. So here's another classic, Mr. Bean in the exam thing. He sits down, opens the paper, and realizes it is not the test he studied for. He doesn't understand the instructions, starts panicking, tries to copy from the person next to him, and just gets more and more frustrated. What is going on here? He has no plan, no understanding of the task, and his attempts at communicating mostly with his eyes and body language don't work. Again, it is funny, okay, but the message is clear. When we don't understand what is expected, when there is no clarity or preparation, people feel lost. And when people feel lost, they often make poor choices. So, what it matters? So now that we have seen what can go wrong, let's talk about why internal communication really matters. When communication is bad, we often see the same effects. People get frustrated, tasks are delayed or done incorrectly. Some people feel excluded or invisible. Stress builds up and sometimes even burnout. And most importantly, we lost trust, which is very hard to rebuild. And on the other hand, when communication is good, everything flows better. People feel motivated. There is better collaboration and problem solving. Everyone knows their role and responsibilities. The team becomes healthier emotionally and practically. And here is something important. Good communication doesn't happen by accident. It is built with intention. Let's stop for a moment and look at some typical sentences we hear in teams, okay? I will need your collaboration. Maybe you have heard things like, oh, I thought someone else would do it, or nobody told me, or I didn't read the email. Other would be, we have already tried that, or no one asked for my opinion. Okay. These are all signs of gaps in communication, unclear expectations, poor listening, or lack of inclusion. I will give you a moment to reflect. So we need your collaboration for asking some question. Have you ever experienced of one of these situations? What happened? How did it affect you or your team? Okay, you can write your answer in the chat or just think about them, or even if you can speak about that. Sometimes even small miscommunications can create big problems. So someone wants to.
I would like to share. Nobody told me. That would be the most common one. Especially, I've experienced this when dealing with new volunteers, and if the training or if they don't receive a proper training at the beginning, they don't really understand how they have to develop the tasks or what the systems that we have in place work and the steps. And nobody told me it's a common one.
Okay, thank you, Ariana.
Yes, and we have some in the chat. Last minute announcement that I have to do a task. That is really annoying.
Yeah.
But it happens.
And we have it slow down the process of working and create confusion. Absolutely.
We also have raised hand from Daphne.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. So we are currently making our e-learning course for a wonderful project, and we were supposed to finish our materials in December. And this kind of nobody told me. I didn't see the email. I thought someone else would do it. At some point, I got really frustrated and kind of stopped working at all in it, because before I was trying to push people to do things, to get them to do things, to inform them. And then I completely stopped for 3 months. I just didn't do a thing. And starting because I'm the work package leader, yes. So it was a very difficult thing to go through this. And I think so. Today, later on, we have another meeting with Nobody Told Me, and I don't understand the task is one that is also very good, because if you hear it always, it's like, okay. So I'm very much looking forward to how this course can hands-on help me for later on. Thank you.
Thank you.
Also, we have a Judith.
Yeah, hi everyone. We often have the I didn't read the email problem, or I didn't read the email till the end. So, and since people don't read their emails, they don't know what the task is. They only do half of it, or misunderstand it, and we're just thinking how we can improve that, because like from my position, I think the emails are clear and the tasks are clear that people have to do. But if people don't read the mails, then it can be as clear as it can. Yeah, but people won't do the tasks that they have to. Yeah, I think that's a problem. And yeah, I'm curious how we can improve that.
Thank you. Anyone? Someone want to share her or his experience? The classic, I didn't read the email. I didn't read the email moment. It happens to the best of us.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I didn't read the email, or I overlooked something in the email, or even receiving letters. That's very classical. Of course, it takes some concentration. As we may be the storytelling animals, but we're not the reading animals. We have to focus for that. That's a problem sometimes, yes.
We have also Tanya wants to share something. Tanya?
Hello, everyone. I'm sorry I'm without my camera today, but I'm listening with all my attention. It's a very interesting topic and very important one. And when it comes to me, I'm thinking about all sorts of misunderstandings and conflicts rising out of tension. So how to be with the tension among the team. I think that's a very important thing if we can speak about that also. I cannot think about the exact example now, but I remember that very often these things can happen, especially if we don't attend to the conflict in the earliest stage, but it can develop into some kind of, when everyone start to withhold and not sharing and just avoiding. So this problem can lead to serious misunderstanding and lower productivity, in my opinion.
Thank you, Tanya. And when that happens, all the situation, we feel a mix of things, right? A bit embarrassed, a bit stressed, maybe even frustrated, and usually thinking, how did I miss that? What happened? No.
But yeah, it creates frustration on both sides, I'm more than sure. I mean, it's just this thing of how to gain trust back when it happened also, no? It's like, how do you start to communicate about things where it's a very interesting process.
So would anyone else like to share something before we wrap up?
Maybe I can share another example that now is coming to my mind, another possible situation. Something like, I thought it was clear. This is maybe another situation that can happen, in a team context, for example.
Thank you, Paco. Anyone else want to add something or share a quick thought?
For me, in this process, it was really the most trying thing for all of us. I mean, we're 7 partners, to not go into the blame throwing thing. So it's like, yeah, well, it doesn't matter in the end whose fault it is. It just matters to solve for every individual how to communicate things, unless, of course, they really don't want to cooperate. But that's a different story.
So it is all about building habits, and being just a bit more intentional with how we communicate. I think most of these situations can be solved with really small changes. A quick message, a clearer subject line, or just checking in with someone before assuming. Thank you for all the people who want to share their experience. So we can go with the presentation. So what actually makes communication work well? I want to introduce you to the 5 pillars of great internal communication. These are simple ideas, okay, but when applied consistently, they can completely change how your team functions, okay? The 5 pillars are clarity, be clear and direct; consistency, repeat key messages using the same tone and channels; timeliness, save information at the right moment; inclusivity, make sure everyone feels heard and represented, okay? And the last one, feedback. Communication goes both ways. Listen and respond. We will go through each of them now with practical examples, okay, for both good and bad, okay, and how you can apply them in your daily work. Let's start with clarity, okay? This is about saying what you mean and meaning what you say. We all know that fake instructions create confusion. Imagine a manager who says, let's speed up project, whatever, Omega. Everyone knows what to do. That is a disaster waiting to happen. Now, compare it with, we need to complete project Omega by Friday. Maria will write the report. I don't know. Antonio will do the budget, and I will create the slides. Let's meet Thursday at 10 a.m. to check in. That is clear, direct, and actionable. Okay? And here is a tip I love. So if you need more than one breath to explain it, simplify. Okay, if you need more than one breath to explain it, simplify. You can see the example. Consistency. The second pillar is consistency. This means some measures, same tone, same channels. Okay, people should not receive mixed messages depending on where or when they hear them. No. A poor example would be this. For example, an email says one thing, a meeting says another, then someone posts a different version in the chat. So this is very confusing, right? So what works better? Make sure that all platforms, email, chat, meetings, repeat the same message with the same tone. So consistency builds trust. It also makes people feel safe because they know what to expect. And here's a useful tip. If something is important, say it more than once, in more than one way. So you can you can watch this example, no? The team gets updates about the policy changes first by email, then hears a different version in a meeting, and later sees conflicting instruction in internal chat. Very confusing. So all channels should repeat the same message. Timeliness. Next up. Sometimes the right message at the wrong time can do more harm than good. Imagine this. The team is working on a big project and the deadline gets moved up, but they only find out the day before in a Slack message. Very stressful, okay? A better way would be to say something like, okay, hi team, the client moved the deadline forward to Thursday. Okay. I wanted to let you know as soon as possible so we can adjust priorities. Let's meet this afternoon to plan. Sharing information properly gives people time to adapt. It also shows respect because you are treating their time as important. And here is a tip I love too. So silence creates rumors. If you don't share information, people will invent their own stories. So share what you can when you can. 4, inclusivity. Okay, let's talk about one that it's especially important in NGO and volunteer teams, inclusivity. Okay, everyone should feel seen and heard. That includes people from different cultures, backgrounds, languages, and roles. Here is a bad example. All project documents are written in English, but 2 team members struggle with the language. So they are left out of meetings because it is faster than way. Ouch. A better way could be use clear, simple language, provide visuals and translated summaries, use subtitles or interpretation tools in meeting. Ask who is not in the room. This is the point. It is not just about access. It is about belonging, okay? And when people feel included, they participate more actively and contribute their best ideas. And the last one, feedback. These pillars remind us that communication is not a one-way street. It is not just about sending information. It is about listening, responding, and growing together. Here is a typical mistake. A manager says, if I don't say anything, assume you are doing fine. But people feel invisible. They don't know what is going well or what to improve. A better approach would be, thanks, Maria. Your report was super clear. Next time, maybe make the summary a little shorter. So great job overall. Also ask regularly, how are things working for you? Okay, any suggestions to improve how we communicate? Okay, this is the tip. Say, thank you for the feedback. I will take it into account. Even when you don't agree, showing appreciation for people's input builds trust. Say, okay, finally, I will give you some task for move from theory to practice over the next few days. I would love for you to choose one or both of the activities I am going to share. They are simple and designed to help you reflect on your own internal communication. The first one is this. Think of one internal communication you usually send. It could be a message. It could be a short report, an email invitation to a meeting, anything. Okay? Then rewrite it using the 5 pillars as a guide. You can ask you if it's clear. Is it consistent with other messages or values? Was it sent on time? Is it inclusive for everyone involved? Does it invite feedback? This is a great way to spot patterns in how we usually write or speak, and to make small but powerful improvements. And here's the second activity. It is more personal and reflective, okay? Go through this checklist and tick everything that regularly happens in your team. Be honest. There are no right or wrong answers, okay? This is not about judging or your organization. It is just a tool to raise awareness, okay? When you have finished, count how many items you have checked, and you will see where your team stands, okay? You can download the checklist from this link here, okay? I will share it in the chat. Okay, so remember, you can do one or both activities depending on what fits your schedule, your times this week. And if you do both, pues even better. Okay, about the results. This is the checklist score. Okay, if you choose to do the checklist activity, here is how to read your results. Okay, if you obtain to 21 to 25 checks, your team's communication is in great shape. Okay, you are doing a lot of things right. Keep it up and keep improving. Okay, perfect. If you obtain 15 to 20 checks, you have a good foundation. That there is a room to grow. Focus on the unchecked areas and start with small adjustments. To 8 for 14 checks, communication is a bit inconsistent. There are the good moments, but also gaps. Okay, choose one pillar and start working on it. And if you obtain 0 to 7 checks, it looks like communication in your team might need serious attention, okay? But don't worry. The first step is awareness, and now you have tools to move forward, okay? So, recap the task. That's one. Think of one internal communication you usually send, a report, a message, a meeting invitation, rewrite it using the 5 pillars. And task 2, how effective is your team communication? Team communication assessment test. So here is my final thoughts for you. Okay, communication is a daily practice. Okay, we are never perfect, and that is okay. But we can always improve. And small changes like saying things more clearly, listening better, or saying at the right time can make a big difference. Let's make our teams more human, more connected, and more effective. And don't forget, the way we communicate internally affects how we work externally. It is all connected. And now I am going to hand it over to my colleague, Ariana, who is going to guide you through a short activity about which communication tool is the most useful. Ariana?
Thank you, Eva. Thank you. Yes, I'm sure you have noticed that we are communicating with all of you in different ways. You receive emails with clear instructions and all the necessary links. You do that before and after each webinar. But then we use the WhatsApp group to give you support. We have a general WhatsApp group for everybody to share reminders mostly, or to share news. And then we have individual WhatsApp groups for the different mentors to give a more personalized advice or support. So I would like to share some cases with you, and I want you to decide, or we can discuss it together, what do you think is the best tool for each case? So the main internal communication tools that we all use would be the email, chat, video call, or face-to-face communication. Can you think of any other system of communication that wouldn't be in these categories? If you do, please let us know in the chat. But these would be the main ones. And if we go to the first scenario, think that you need to assign the task with a deadline and share a file with important information. So what would you choose? Which of these 4 tools, the email, the chat, the video call, or face-to-face communication, would you use in your case? Okay, I'm checking your answers. Paco Penino. Yes, but Trello, Slack, and so on would be management tools as well. So MS Teams, email, many of you. In this case, we would recommend using the email better than the chat in the first instance. Why? Because it allows you to share the files that you want to share, or the information that you want to share. It's easy to find again if you need to review it, if it gives you instructions, or if it gives you deadlines. And 2 days later, you want to check some detail, it's easier to go back to your email and have all the information together instead of having a conversation with different people in a chat. You could also use the chat later for reminders. But the first one, we think it would be the email. It gives a structure of what needs to be done, and it gives a record of the important bits. Let's move on to the next case. You need to resolve a misunderstanding between 2 team members. This could be 2 volunteers, or it could be a volunteer and one of the managers, or it could be 2 of the staff members. What do you think is going to be the best way?
Well, face-to-face. Fist fight. That's good.
I completely agree. If you can, a face-to-face in-person meeting would be the most important, mostly because we have feelings and emotions involved here. So your body language is important. The tone you use is important. And don't forget, we might have experienced something, and we might have completely different experience from the same event. I think the best example I can give you from personal life is think of your brothers and sisters, if you have brothers and sisters. Most of my conflicts or arguments with my brother, now that we are adults, they come from how we remember events from the past, from our childhood or our teenage years, in completely different ways. And it's because, of course, we both perceived what happened in a different way. Sometimes there is misunderstandings. So real-time clarification is something that a conversation allows you. And also, if you can do it in person, you can decide what is the best way to approach to de-escalate conflict, whether it's to have a cup of coffee and a relaxed chat, or you can have a meeting as a mediator between the 2 people that have the misunderstanding, and give them both enough time to explain themselves and to really find where the misunderstanding is or when it happened. Okay, the third scenario. Update everyone on next month's event plans. What do you think? We have chat group for one meeting. We have some meetings, some newsletter or email, team calendar and meeting. They're all good answers. In this case, more than one option. is possible, but the one I would choose would be first an email to inform everyone. Everybody has the information in the email. And then, yes, a chat reminder, calendar, or whatever else you want to add. Imagine that we have 5 different activities. We have a conference. We have a fundraising event. We have trainings for next month. An email will contain, it would be like an agenda that would contain all the information. And then you can choose a different channel for reminders. Like, remember on Tuesday, next Tuesday, we have the first event. This is what needs to be done. All this information is already in the first email, but this is a way of refreshing everyone's memory and try to avoid people missing or forgetting details or deadlines. For the fourth scenario, you announce a new funding opportunity to your team. You want them to start thinking. It could be a new line of funding and you need to write a project. Or it could be an event, a networking event when you can meet people that could become volunteers, could become sponsors. What would you do in this case? Here we have a video call, face-to-face group meeting, email and meeting. I am going to agree with the ones that chose email first, because again, it allows you to share and keep the details in one place. I think either online or face-to-face meeting with the team should follow in this case, but first inform them. You will have time to discuss, you will have time to brainstorm, but first you need, for example, if it's a new line of program, like when we present our Erasmus projects or Horizon projects or any other lines first, if it's somebody who hasn't done it before, because, for example, with Erasmus, we know every year we have the same call and some rules change from year to year, but they're minor. But the fact that first you inform them, right, there's a new opportunity here, and you give them as much information as possible, give them time to think, then you can have a few days later the online or presential meeting where you can discuss how to approach it and how to go about it. But to be able to have a proper meeting to debate or to brainstorm, first they need the basic information. So for me, the first step would be the email, and then followed by whatever works for you and your team, because this is also important. Each organization is different. Is communication in a small group, within a small group of people, could be more direct. And with a large people, maybe you have to be more careful that everything is extremely clear and that they have a chance to ask questions if there are any doubts. So these are just recommendations. It doesn't mean that doing it by chat is a mistake. I just think that using the email would be the first step for any type of communications where you want the people to have a copy of the important bits and to be able to go back and check on that if there are any questions or if we forget anything. And finally, you need to get feedback on the draft of your NGO's annual report. So you would want your team to be a part of this. What would you use for this task? We have mostly emails, email and meeting, Google Forms, okay, Google Doc. Okay, well, for them to be able to give you feedback, first they need to see your draft. So our recommendation would be an email first where you share, but I have to say, Anastasia, that yes, a shared document would also be, if you have a shared drive, would also be a good option. And then follow by a video call if a face-to-face meeting is not possible. It depends if the feedback is negative or positive. I think even if it's negative feedback, it can be given in a kind way. You don't need to say, oh, this is crap or this is rubbish. It's not. You could say, okay, I noticed that this part is missing and maybe it would be a good idea to add it as well. To sum up, the right tool will help with clarity and will help everybody that is involved have access to the important information. So, of course, after this webinar, you will receive an email again with the links. We have the Padlet, we have the Drive, we have different channels so that you can always access either you want to rewatch the video or you want to access the homework that Eva has there. All of that will be sent to you as a reminder in an email. And this week, we are going to go back to the peer review. And for these tasks, I would ask you all to check who is your partner, the same one as from the first webinar. We're going to keep those pairs. And check whether there's anything that you can help each other with. And of course, your mentors are always here, always available always available in WhatsApp. If we cannot answer immediately, we will do it as soon as we can. And we will organize another WhatsApp chat or a call in the next week, maybe, or either the end of this week or beginning of next week, depending on your availability. And we will see if we can help you with any of the questions from the homework or from your own experience in your NGOs. So that's all from my part. I'll pass it on again to Eva, who's going to bring us some questions to debate. We want you to think of your own personal experiences again.
Thank you, Ariana. Have been really practical cases and situations we can all apply in our day-to-day work. Thank you. So, all right, to finish, okay, let's have a quick and relaxed conversation. I have got a few questions to get us thinking about what we have seen today. So before we close, I would love to invite you to share your thoughts. Here are a few questions to reflect on. Feel free to type in the chat or unmute if you would like to share. The questions are, can you remember a time when poor communication caused a problem in your team? What happened? How could it have been handled better in your organization? What is some simple thing you could improve to make communication more inclusive or clear? And finally, which of the 5 pillars do you think is the hardest to maintain in your team and why? So feel free to share. And remember, this space is for learning, not judging, okay?
Yes, I think what we learned was we also worked on using one channel, which was email. We could definitely improve the feedbacks circle, because it is difficult also to send an email and then get no feedback from anybody. The mutual understanding did grow at some point, but yes, it's what we learned is that it's good to talk to one person. Like if you want that feedback from that person, just say it directly. Just say what you want.
In my case, I have to think of there was a company I worked for that I learned a lot from, and it was in Ireland. And every 6 months, if it wasn't needed before, but every 6 months at least, we would have a one-on-one meeting with our coordinator, in which they would go through all the points and start always by all the things the company was grateful for that we were doing well. Say, this is working well, this is was making a difference. And then when it came to the negative feedback, they would start by asking us, what do you think could be improved? Or what processes can become easier or more clear? Or do you notice anything that you're not happy with in your own work? So they made you reflect on your own shortcomings, because nobody's perfect and we can always learn to do things better. And this is something that I kept with me and then applied with the NGO work. When we have a good team of volunteers, good team, I mean people who are really motivated, who are involved. Doesn't matter whether they have all the skills I think the attitude is more important, and because the skills can be learned, you can help them, you can train them. But it's something I kept, and it's worked really well when they feel they have a voice, and they all can also make decisions on how things are done if they can come up with something that helps a communication being more fluid. Everybody is informed, everybody is happy to help, even when there is a shorter deadline or something that you didn't count off and didn't work.
Well, for me, so I run the organization, and usually I am communication manager in projects and so on. So even experience of more than 20 years, still many things happen with the communication and so on. So my biggest problem, I think, as a manager or someone more senior in communications, is that I assume that things are clear. Yeah, so it's obvious. It's obvious to know that, I don't know, travel budgets in Erasmus, there is Erasmus calculator or something, yeah? So, and when we do communications, I receive many different questions, which for me are always surprising, even in this program. And I teach myself, or I try to do it, like to put everything, even if it's obvious, like even if you think it's obvious, still to put the information with the links where everything is and so on. Ideally, of course, we're also doing it in our organization, starting to do. You should have the guides, the rules, yeah, of communication in your like this 5 pillars or any other model you can take and write like, yes, so if we have, for example, yeah, the project update, then we use this. If so you have like a guideline for anyone who joins the team, a project or organization and so on, and they can just open and read, okay, this is the rules. Then it's clear. So it's clear to you, it's clear to the others, it's clear to the manager, the whole team. And you should just follow them. It sounds very simple, but it's not, unfortunately. So there is no need to overcomplicate maybe things, like but just choose 2-3 channels and just be consistent. So I think the most important thing in communication is consistency. Like, for example, once a week we do updates, yeah, or in the project, like you mentioned, but there was frustration and you stopped for 3 months and so on, or choose a person who is not getting frustrated or not being like offended that people don't reply or so. So it used to be me as well. I didn't understand why people don't reply on time and so on. Even in this project, I will tell you. But if you switch off all the emotions and you just follow those rules, okay, we are doing it once a week, the chat, the email, the something else, Trello, yeah? Then everything is clear for everyone. There is no emotions, there is no basis of conflicts and so on. Yeah, that's my experience. And also, of course, because we all work with international projects and international teams, we all have very different backgrounds, like, and we need to find this common communication, yeah, like ground in each project, which makes it very difficult, because in one project it works like this, in another one you cannot copy paste because it's different people, different cultures and so on. So you always need to find this way, what's the best.
Well, yes, of course. But it's a very good thing to do something regularly, to just act on this. Okay, I'm writing you this and I will get back to you then, and just get back to them then, no matter whether they responded or not. And of course, there were like a lot of things going on in that project. Somebody went in burnout, 2 companies went bankrupt. And so it was like totally chaos. But we managed anyway. We're getting there.
But of course, in projects or internal teams, I don't know, the best is the meetings, of course. I don't know, for me. Yeah, because even if you write, your tone of voice can be understood differently. Your, I don't know, everything can be turned around, not like you meant it to to write, to say. And this causes like miscommunications. So if there is this luxury these days to meet, then it's the best.
We also have some comments from Adia. She says, in my organization, we sometimes lack timely messaging. This is, yes, it could be a hard to maintain pillar. Making an effort to share the information early, even if you only know, like the example that Eva gave us before, there's a change in the deadline. Okay. Maybe then all I know is that there is a change. I don't know exactly how much it has changed. But first, you communicate to the team. So they keep their agendas a little bit more flexible because they know there will be a change coming that you might confirm that same evening or the next day, but you're already aware that there will be a change in your agenda. And then Paco makes a comment about lack of engagement from the team. So the manager is trying to get feedback and there's no answers and no comments. So how to keep the communication constant and not fall into nobody cares, so I will not invest much time in it. How to engage your team? Well, sometimes what would be the reason for not communicating? Is it because it's work overload and they really have no time? Is it a problem of, I don't know. I don't think it will be lack of interest, or correct me if I'm wrong, but maybe a more clear and direct communication in which you have to tell them clearly, I expect an answer. If you have to give me feedback, I want to hear your opinions. I want to know what you think. Oh, and Daria has raised her hand next. Okay, with volunteers. With volunteers, sometimes I know it's time consuming, but sometimes I find from my personal experience, having a chat with them on a one-to-one basis, if necessary, or in small groups, and making the effort to have that chat. And then so you explain why their feedback is important. You want them to know that their opinions are also relevant. And not always, we can't always adapt what we're doing to everybody's opinions, but we can listen to them. Sometimes they bring great ideas that you didn't think about. So it is time consuming, but I think it's worth the effort of spending this time on having the one-on-one talk and explain why it's important that they provide this feedback and they feel free and safe to do it without being judged. This is also sometimes like, I don't want to say anything because nobody is speaking. Maybe what I say is stupid. If you can manage to make them feel safe and that they can share anything, even if it's a stupid idea, sometimes stupid ideas are not that stupid. And with little changes, they can become great ideas. So I would work on that part.
If we talk, just to add to this one, if we talk about volunteers, so probably, I don't know, if you talk about Erasmus AC and so on, there is different generations, and different generations have different tools of communications. So if one, I don't know, no one uses emails and Facebooks and so on. So you have to find that comfortable communication channel for them to be included.
Daria, you want to share?
Yes, I want just to add something that I find. Hello, everyone. My name is Nadia. What is very important in every communication, I was doing trainings about personal, internal communication, conflict management, and every communication mostly based on values. And this is in company or in NGO or when we are working with volunteers, it's also very important to keep in mind the value part. Because if we are speaking about volunteers, mostly they came for some values. And values can be to have fun or to do something useful or to do something important for this world. And also we are coming back to the basics of every organization, that you need to have your mission and vision, which is value of your organization. And it really helps to build a successful internal communication as well, because you need to keep it all the time in your mind, and you need to provide it to build all your messages and all your internal communication on this basis, which is your mission and values of your organization. And even when you give a task or motivate people to come to some event or whatever, you always come back to your mission and to your values. You explain why, yes? Look, we are doing this event to do input in our main goal, which is blah, blah, blah. And this is like basic and very important thing. And the other thing I just wanted to add to what Anna was telling, from my personal experience, like I was organizing big program for huge event, which is more than 1,000 people. And they had 100 volunteers in my program team. And it was so hard to manage them. And every year we were trying to improve this communication, not to lose these people, to keep them motivated. So we were doing something interesting for them. Yes, between even events, we were organizing, teaching, providing some events, letting them space to have their fun. And also it is very important to have instruction or agreement, something written, what they really can remember and understand what are their functions, what are they need to do, not to be frustrated with tasks and works and so on. Also to have a clear structure. If we are speaking about a lot of people in organization or a lot of volunteers, it's good to send emails, but it's better to have structure. So divide them to groups, and each group have leader, and leader have, I don't know, weekly meetings or daily meetings for updates, and then they can do these meetings to their teams. This is also can be helpful, and as well, just to be good structures, good understanding, and with workers as well. If you have instructions, values, explanations in your organization, it will help a lot of people to come back to remember it, even if they signed a contract or agreement or instruction where it's written that email is your main communication place, then you can come back officially to this agreement and say, look, this is you signed, that you need to read all emails. And sometimes it's just helpful to avoid conflict, just to have something written and come back to these documents. Thank you.
What about the rest of you? Which pillar do you think is the hardest to maintain in your organizations?
For me, I think consistency is one of the most difficult, especially when you work in a fast-moving environment. We often say things in meetings that never get written down, or we forget to update everyone the same way. So for me, consistency is one of the most difficult.
Yes, I agree with you, Evan. I think consistency requires planning. And that is the part that is difficult sometimes when you have new things coming up that you weren't expecting.
I sorry for interrupting. So consistency is really this thing, because there are all those wonderful tools, but actually, seriously, I don't use them. I use my calendar because I don't know how to use them. So, and there we are in the planning. I mean, the planning would include getting to know those tools. And I have put things into one of those wonderful tools in a different project, but even then, it's like, who looks at the tool? How do you get people to look at the tool? So it's not consistency only from my side, it's also consistency from the others.
It takes a bit of explaining on how you want to, if you're talking about a project and you have different people involved, I think it's important to explain at the beginning, how are we going to communicate? Where do you go if you need to look for something? Where do you go, or who do you speak to if you have a question? So yes, it takes practice. That's why we say it's not a matter of going and changing everything. It's making small improvements every week in the way you communicate. You will notice what works for your organization and what doesn't. and we can always make it better. Okay, interesting. Agatha's talking about digital hygiene. Yes, especially with chats, because you can choose not to open your computer on the weekends. Say, right, I'll read my emails on Monday. But ignoring a group chat when it's in your phone and it's the same phone that you use for your personal life, which happens to many of us, it's difficult, very difficult. You need to make a conscious effort and either explain at the beginning, okay, we will communicate through this only if it's really urgent, or during work hours, for example, which we don't do. We end up using it even at the weekends, but it's a personal choice.
I really agree with that, Agatha. Sometimes we think we are helping by creating more channels or sending more updates, but actually it can lead to digital fatigue. No, so we also need to protect people's focus and energy and make sure communication is meaningful. No, not just constant.
But also, if your organization is growing, if you have opportunity to hire a communication person who will do all the planning, who will set up the some, I don't know, tools, who will do the little training for everyone how to use them, who will write those guidelines, you will see how much the communication changes the whole growth of the organization. Yeah, because it's a huge job, and usually we put it aside, like, oh, I have much bigger thing, I don't know, fundraising, or I need to do this or that. And we like this consistency we are losing, because we don't have time and we just communicate whenever we have a moment. But if you have this, even if it's part-time or volunteer, you have much better communication, and this will lead you to better results, to more funds, and so on. We will talk about external communication in the next webinars, but it's also like very important to have such a person who is responsible for that. So it's not just who has time to write this one. No, it's like you are responsible for, I don't know, monthly newsletters, the meetings, this. And also, if you don't want to use those fancy tools, there is no need. If you managing well with WhatsApp or email, why to have those? But of course, if you're growing, you will need to add more and more complex tools that they are useful. It's just, it takes time. It's the same like this Google for NGOs, which we got 2 months ago, but it took time to understand what actually all this is about. And when we're still trying, but then we got, oh, wow, 100 terabytes. Okay, let's cancel our Dropbox. This is what we're paying for, and move everything there. We have like a shared calendar where we all not like gonna ask, can you show me your calendar or your calendar? We can go and directly and see everyone's holidays or whatever. So yes, it takes time, but after it's the same. Like, how did we live before without AI? Now it's hard to understand how to imagine, but we did 2 years ago. And it's the same with the new tools. You just need to adapt a little bit and see. But maybe they will not be good for you. So, but to try is a good opportunity to try and see if it's for you or not.
Yes. Well, we have one more comment.
Theodora.
During my senior year in university, our professor relied on some of the students informing others about the exam. Turns out one student showed up to that exam. That happened to me. I missed an oral exam because the teacher, instead of putting the notice, the date of the exam in the common board that all the students check, he put it on the door of his office. And he said it in class when there was like 4 or 5 people there. Like, tell everybody the new dates are in the door of my office. Nobody went to check the date of the exam. He had like 2 students showing up. So yes, that was another problem of miscommunication. Luckily, he understood it was his mistake, and he repeated Otherwise, we would have all failed that subject. I just want to remind you quickly, you will have a copy of today's webinar. You will have a copy of the presentations, both from Eva and from me, and you will have access to the homework as well. As always, thank you everyone for joining in. We will keep chatting. I think after the email, we will be chatting via WhatsApp towards the end of the week to give you time to go through everything.
Thank you.